And good morning, and thank you all for joining us at one of these most significant monuments in Howard County, the People Tree, a structure that is the manifestation of the Jim Rouse vision for Columbia to create an environment that contributes to the unity and growth of community. The way the figures, individuals in their own right, standing together are reaching out in different directions is a testament to our community. It represents the foundation for a healthy, thriving community, one where unique, diverse individuals work together, open, seeking out growth and improvement. Howard County should be an example to our state, our nation, and our world, where these ideas of equity and community come to life. Today, Howard County is taking two important steps to be the best society, not merely overall, but for all. A society that will work harder to be more equitable and just. To help lead these efforts, we are creating a new position within our Office of Human Rights, the Equity and Restorative Practices Manager. When I first took office, our transition team recommended a diversity, equity, and inclusion position for the Howard County Executive's Office. Understanding the significance of this position, while normally executive exempt and exclusively subject to the will of the county executive, I am making this a permanent position in the Office of Human Rights. This will add another buffer from the political world and help ensure that this person will be able to make a long-term impact for our community. The Equity and Restorative Practices Manager will identify any practices or policies needed to help ensure equity, help us to effectively use restorative practices, recommend and implement training and competency building, and develop strategic community partnerships to move us all forward. Through restorative practices, the leader in this position will help our community in strengthening relationships and building connections. In addition to this new position, we will be renaming our Office of Human Rights to the Office of Human Rights and Equity. Words matter, names matter. Equity is an important addition that emphasizes the work we still need to see throughout our community. As we aspire to do better, to be better, we have the opportunity to inspire leaders and jurisdictions around our great nation. By adding the term equity in the title of our Office of Human Rights, we are solidifying Howard County's commitment to ensuring opportunities are available for all of our residents. Last year, I sat down with our local children's board to receive their report, Access to Opportunity in Howard County, Making the Case for Equity. Their data showed us that our young people of color in Howard County, especially our Black and Latino youth, are more likely than their white peers to experience negative outcomes and less likely to benefit from the wonderful Howard County opportunities. The report concludes that racial and socioeconomic equity should be significant considerations when planning and developing policies and practices that impact public services, programs, and initiatives. It includes a county-wide call to action regarding equity both in the short term and the long term. We need to put systems in place that recognize diversity is a strength and support the equity and mobility of our residents from all racial and ethnic identities, religions, ages, nationalities, social and economic status, political perspectives, physical and mental abilities, sexual orientation, gender identity and expression, and personal appearance have the opportunity to, as a community, unite, work to eradicate the ugliness of discrimination, and together thrive. Howard County is well known for our diverse community, and as we continue to work to be a more inclusive, fair society, creating opportunity for all, substantive actions like the steps we take today help us get closer. I believe that these changes are significant steps forward for improving equity in Howard County. And as the late civil rights icon and Congress member John Lewis said, if not us, then who? If not now, then when? Together, we can achieve our vision of a more equitable community, help restore relationships, people, and our community, and be a model across our nation for diversity, inclusion, and opportunity. Thank you.
In today's world, we are watching the proponents for change. We have seen various acts that remind us that change in this world is still needed. We live in a community that was built on certain principles that were to create equal playing fields and opportunities to live. Our community was to provide a place for diverse living and interaction among varied groups. But that was just to be the start. With each passing generation, this concept was to become more of a reality without any deterioration in spirit as time progressed. We have seen our county leaders foster these principles and try to keep the flame of equality in the community burning. Our own county executive boss stepped forward to carry that torch forward and seeks to assure there is continuity and success. We have a community that in principle should strive to meet the needs of those who live here. Since Howard County is increasingly diverse, it is important to ensure that the needs of all are met. Not just the usual needs addressed by having housing and shopping, but the need to have cultures feel that they belong to this county and can make it home. A home where race, religion, nationality, gender, sexual preference, or orientation is not a factor. A home that meets the need for health care, education, recreation, government, and employment equally. In an effort to keep that flame going, this administration is responding to the needs of the community by creating this position. This position will implement best practices and resources in Howard County government and ultimately for the general public to promote a culture of equality and inclusion for everyone. I want to repeat that sentence. It is for everyone, not just the fortunate, not just those with power, not just those who can be heard, but for everyone to thrive and have equal opportunity. As this position will fall under the newly named Office of Human Rights and Equity, the office will continue to work towards eradicating discrimination, racism, and inequality, and we will not falter in that mission. With the inclusion of this new position, we will be taking a more active role in addressing the needs of the community. Just as change does not happen overnight, neither will the disappointing acts that continue that do not represent the principles of our community. We request that you partner with our office as we continue to make strides. There will be an opportunity to work with this position, to hear different opinions, to learn to live together, to respect each other, and to keep that flame burning. We ask you to partner in helping us to combat the inequalities that do exist in our county. Our county is great, but we still do have progress that needs to be made. The creation of this position is just the beginning, and I'm extremely excited for the difference this position and the Office of Human Rights and Equity will continue to make in Howard County.
I'm really happy to be able to be here with you, Calvin, as you make this most important proclamation. It's so interesting. I was around when we first adopted the human rights law in Howard County. My former husband, Lloyd Knowles, who was on the county council before me, was one of the sponsors of it. And the word equity just never occurred to us. And then as time goes by, we understand the incredible importance of words. So this is having the ability, I mentioned to Calvin a few minutes ago, to stand under this peepal tree. It's not just a beautiful statue in the form of human beings, but look at the shape of the bodies. Look at the shape of the bodies. Look at the shape of each body. Talk about equity. There's equity through this statue exudes equity. I wanted to tell you, and Calvin has heard this once before at some program that was held over at Cedar Lane Parks very shortly after you were elected county executive, Calvin, and that was a memory I have of Jim Rouse. And I might have told you on that day that I was going to get you a copy of this letter, and if I didn't, remind me and I'll get it to you. It's a letter that Jim Rouse sent out to everyone in the real estate industry within about the second year of the existence of the new town of Columbia. And he said in that message, when you do real estate work in Columbia, it will be as if you are colorblind. They were the words that he put in that. Think of that. Think how many years ago that was. And that's how determined that man was. And he lived the idea of equity. That word wasn't so much, it was equal rights and equal this and equal that, but not turning it into, but utilizing that word in the form of a noun now is actually even stronger, I believe. And I was present one time. I have a letter that I am going to give you, Calvin, if I haven't already, and he sent it out to everyone in the real estate community, and not only saying it will be as if you're colorblind, but if I find out you are not, you will never sell another home in Columbia. They were the words in the letter. And some people in the industry came back and said, well, who do you think you are? You can't keep us from selling. You don't own these places. He said, yes, but the people who do want to be able to build more buildings. And if they want to be able to continue developing this town of Columbia, they better see to it that any realtor selling in Columbia, just think about that. And that's the legacy in which we live here. And it's so easy to forget it, and I don't think we talk about it as much as we should. And I'm grateful to Calvin and to all of you who work in this area. And it's a bright spot in a very frightening time in our country. It's a very frightening time. And we have to make we must make the spirit and the principles that are behind this gathering here today carry forth in the future of our country. So thanks for including me.
County Executive Ball, on behalf of the Department of Community Resources and Services and the Office of the Local Children's Board, I'd like to thank you for inviting us to participate in marking this important step in keeping the topic of equity front and center and moving an equity agenda forward in our county. Achieving equity across all components has been a cornerstone of our work in DCRS for quite some time, and your continued support and vision for incorporating this across the county government is significant. Race equity, in particular, has been a focus of the Local Children's Board over the last few years, as documented in our foundational report, Access to Opportunity in Howard County, Making the Case for Equity. We developed this report to provide a solid foundation of data and perhaps most importantly, to serve as a call to action where all sectors, institutions, organizations, and residents across our county could see themselves and find their role in working together as a community alongside one another to eliminate the impacts of systemic inequities that have existed for far too long. The acknowledgement today that this work is not a sprint, it's not a checkbox. Instead, it's a lifetime commitment. It's changing the frame and understanding that it's the way in which we must view and do our work, is all testimony to your leadership, Dr. Ball. To achieve true change, equity needs to be at the foundation of everything we do, and it must start with a commitment from leadership. This is evident with the leadership of our director, Jackie Scott, in the Department of Community Resources and Services. Over the last few years, our entire department has been through a series of trainings, establishing a common understanding and a common language around equity, which has given us a path to move forward, to use an equity lens when examining our policies, processes, programs, and investments across our department. And just imagine what we will be able to accomplish as a county now. So thank you, Dr. Ball. We look forward to working together with the office and this new position to achieve your vision.
To support the state of Maryland, Howard County, I volunteer as a community organizer in many different organizations to include Korean and East Asian communities. I support several amazing organizations, and while doing so, I try to ensure that these communities' voices are represented, because representation matters. Over the last several years, I have worked closely with Dr. Ball and his team on a series of concerns, specifically those targeting the Asian American community. It's felt that he gives sincere concerns and thoughts for the specific communities. It's normalized in the Asian communities that we don't get involved in policy initiatives. Therefore, the Asian American citizens don't receive the same access to current opportunities and are unaware of the upcoming opportunities. As we all strive as a community to build a better future, this should not be the case. This equity manager position and the commitment of Dr. Balls demonstrates Howard County's earnest desire to promote a culture of equity and provide equitable policies, resources, services by embracing diversity and inclusion in what the county does, both internally and externally. This equity manager position will work with county leadership to design, build, and implement equity strategies and programming. I'm impressed and pleased that the position's job description notes that the position's roles and responsibilities include acting as a consultant to underrepresented groups to ensure all voices are heard. With the reporting structure that is both to the Human Rights Administrator and to the Office of the County Executive, this position has access to the decision makers, yet as a merit position, the future incumbent will be free of swaying of political pressures and focus on the important work to ensure diversity and equity for all citizens of Howard County. With that said, I'm very excited for this new position to be available, and I believe it will bring the community closer and together. I thank County Executive Ball for his hard efforts, Jansen, Evelyn, Yolanda, Sonnier, and to everyone in the Howard County government who recognized the need and made this possible. This is a win for the community, everyone, and a major step as we continue make incredible strides as a community together. Thank you.